we're 5 down, 5 to go. We're going to start with you, Baron, with number 5. Who's your number 5 fighter? Top 10.
Cinco. Marciano.
Okay.
Marciano. You know, he handled his handle like, I mean, you know, Joe Louis was a little older. He fought Walcott had him. If you ever watched that fight,
yeah,
bruh, Walcott was smacking him around, like doing like all that little cute stuff, all that shoulder roll stuff and all that back and forth and dancing on him. Like, you know, he struggled with Walcott till he caught him. He actually was gonna lose that fight. So, but you know, I just think that, you know, he was a earmark for the sport. His name is gonna always come up. You know, we know you never know what would have been. It is what it is. And I just think that his name always has to come up because it's always reference to him.
All right, let's go back through the order. Ivan, number 5.
Number 5 on my list, I had Iron Mike, but I would switch that if I had a chance to submit it right now. I would switch that with probably Wilder.
Wow.
Yeah, I would switch that with Wilder. Because Wilder, Deontay, I gave him number 4, but I would put him in number 5 and give it to Mike. Because Deontay is he's not a skilled fighter, but he had brute country strength, and that's what's got it. He got an impressive, you know, record, but now as he's maturing into the game and getting a little bit more humble, I think he's losing that fire, and people are starting to find out he can. If you can box him and use a little bit of that boxing IQ, he can be built. He can stay away from that right hand. He has nothing after that right hand. You know, he doesn't have any feet, even though he doesn't have any footwork. Very unorthodox, but he came in. He was knocking people out, and he got impressive record. I mean, 46-3, and what he got, like 43, 42 knockouts up until you know, the Tyson Fury thing. You know, he was dropping people, and people were scared of him. You know, so I would put him at number 5 because now I think he's on his downshift now, where he's losing that fire, and a lot of people are going to figure out that, you know, if you stay out of the way of that right hand, he's going to be going. But I mean, so far, I mean, he got an impressive record, but I don't know how far he's going to go.
Okay.
I could jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say about Wilder, like, because I didn't even have him on my list because it's just, you know, I think he should have just kept the old Popeye mentality. I am what I am. You know, it ain't like you had some time off, you know, and then you try to get it between. You tried to change in between fights, the same like Joshua did. You can't change in between fights. Yeah, you know, he tried to change. The next fight, I'm getting rid of Mark Brain and I'm gonna bring this one. And nah, bro. Like somebody like Foreman that had some time off. You know, he had some significant time off to work on his change. But you know, I think Deontay should have just, you know, stayed with what he do. Like, you know, I'm gonna knock you out, you're gonna knock me out. You know what I'm saying? But I just think he just changed. He tried to change too quick when that's not what he do.
Yeah,
when he came out, the last fight, he came out jabbing. Like, as soon as he get hit, he going back to what he do.
Back to what he do, yeah.
That's like, what Mike Tyson said, right?
Yeah, a lot of people say he's like a one-trick pony. Either he's going to knock you out, or you know, he's not going to score points. He's ready to knock you out.
Right.
He in there trying to box. That's the funniest shit ever.
He has no foot.
It was funny as hell. Hey, and you know,
then when you start tagging him, he's swinging so unorthodox and looks. I like, come on, man. But
what Mike Tyson say?
Hey,
He said, everybody got a plan till they get hit in the mouth. Bro, you gonna go back to what you doing, bro. Go ahead, man. Come on.
My number 5 is Sonny Liston. I don't think Sonny Liston got the credit that he deserved. He beat Floyd Patterson's people were trying to keep Floyd Patterson away from Sonny Liston because they were like, this ain't the dude you want to fight. And when you got a hold of Sonny Liston, I mean, KO first round, both fights, a year apart. He beat a guy named Cleveland Williams. Cleveland Williams was no slouch twice. Zora Foley. So he had he was the most intimidating fighters. I don't think he got the credit he deserved. When he won against Floyd Patterson, he was looking for all that adulation and he never got it. And he just turned into a menace. And because people kind of rejected him because Floyd Patterson was the heavyweight champion that everybody loved. And so he thought he could win the public over. But I never thought, whether or not he was in mob ties or whatever, never thought he got the credit in boxing history. Ice, you got the last pick, number 5.
Number 5. Man, this is hard because I went back and forth and this person kind of fluctuated, but then I finally, despite how I really feel about boxing and how you should represent it and what people think and the styles, I had to give him his just due. So my number 5 pick is Mike Tyson. Okay. He just came along at a time that, I was wondering, why is everybody scared? Like you said, at the time, you thought the dudes lost the fight by intimidation before they walked in the ring. But that wasn't his fault. His fault was he just came in, he did what he had to do. And I always think too, and I know they talk about the great, Gus D'Amato and a lot of stuff. I just wish Mike Tyson had some guidance, man, early on. And what I mean by that, people that he trusted, because I look at it like this, and a lot of times people don't know, Gus D'Amato took him in, whatever, and, took him through. But then I think about the financials, right? And everybody tried to, when you compare how horrible they say Don King is compared to Bob Arum and, Bill Caton and those guys, they were supposed to be this people that really cared about Mike Tyson. But at the end of the day, what people don't understand is that Bill Caton and his team was taking 30% of Mike Tyson's money, bro. 30% cut. Your mama don't deserve 30% unless you give it to her. You know what I'm saying? For real. I'm just saying. So I just think that there was a lot going on with him, but he still persevered and still did what he had to do. I think the sad thing about it was if he was in a better place with his life, could have been a better boxer. Maybe that chaos helped him be mean and everything too. But I just remember how great he was, and he came at a time he did his thing when he was on the highest level, and then he slowly, because going to jail, came out, and a lot of people saw him as a villain. When he fought Holyfield, Angel and the Devil, that thing too. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Didn't Holyfield have I ain't talking about it is what it is, but didn't Holyfield have 2 women impregnated at the same time? Anyway, but that's for another day. But I'm just so you got the Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson just Mike Tyson. But to get back to it, Mike Tyson, though, the part that really was once you found out who he was and really understood who he was, because I had a chance to meet him one time, and after he got out of jail, he's just the most humble dude in the world. As long as you didn't want him in his face, he really wasn't that crazy or whatever. But I remember one of the fights when he just got out of jail, and this was after the Buster Douglas fight, and he had these other dudes that I don't know where the hell he got these dudes from, man. And they was in his corner, and you could tell they were very unprofessional. And he got hit one time, and his eye was blown up, man.
They didn't have Israel, right?
And dude brought a water bag with ice in it.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn.
Like a glove, right? Like
I'm sitting there going like,
he ain't had no
I ain't never picked up no spit bucket. I ain't never been in the ring. But one damn thing I do know about is some shit called Icewater, bro. Okay, I know you supposed to. I can take you right now. If you get hit, I got my Icewater. I know what to do with it. I watch so much boxing. I know what you're supposed to do. I know you damn sure don't put no ice bag on it and rub his eye like, you okay, Jeff? You ready to get back out there? I'm like, damn, you in a professional fight. It's all this money. Nobody got Icewater in their bag. Yeah. Dude, that was horrific. I was like, man,
let me ask you a question.
Like he was straight out the gutter. That was horrible.
Let me ask you a question. Anybody, have you ever been to Brownsville?
Yeah. Yeah, I got family.
Just the mere fact of coming from
Yeah.
where he come from,
Yeah.
and what's significant for me, forget the boxing, forget get robbed, forget all that other shit, because Mike ain't he don't apologize for none of that shit. I think what he most apologize is just not being human, and he's a human being now. You know, when he did that Broadway show, and he kind of showed like he had like humor. Even the fight that he had when he had the slit on his eye. Remember, he said, "Ouch, that hurts." Like, what the fuck? Like, Mike, fuck me up. What are you talking about, Mike? Like, he started being human as you know. So he got kids now, you know, and I just love seeing him on his podcast, you know, and I just like his approach when it comes to life, and like he just doesn't make excuses. It is what it is, and you know, and that's the beautiful thing about him now.
Yeah, Brownsville never ran, never will. But what's amazing about him is when I used to watch him box, it was like a monster, man. And Eddie Murphy jokes about this. So he used to come out, like folks come out with different rap songs stuff. He used to come out with one note, like boom. It was like this monster was coming to the ring. No robe, just shoes, gloves, and trunks. And just the mere fact of him coming out like that was, I mean, you seeing him coming out that day, and you got to fight this guy coming out with one kind of like this monstrous note, coming out to just beat the hell out of you. And I just, you know, I didn't put him high on my list, but him in his era, man, he was like, I mean.
But you know what? Sometimes, like, if you know, you guys got experience with the boxing thing, and I think like regular people don't understand like the other parts of his life that he was living, and why people were intimidated by him, and why he's scared of him, like, or why he, you know, why, you know, because he was living an animal life, man. Like, I hear some of the stories with the women and like the things that he just didn't care. Like, he did not care. So that kind of, you know, you find that's like when Ali did to Liston when he went in and act crazy. You know, that the fight was over then. Mike Tyson's fights be over when they be checking the gloves. You know what I'm saying? The fight be way over. The fight be over before they start.
Yeah.
Because it's so much back information, there's so much behind the scene information, you know, that goes into the psychology of stepping into that ring.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I just say real quick that I agree wholeheartedly that he's able to, I'm glad he's able to live a peaceful life, man, with people that love him. Because we get so caught up in sports and we treat them like animals and we treat them like entertainers that they're not real people. And to see that guy, like you said, where he grew up at, what he went through to get to all that, and then, you know, basically turn him into like he's animalistic. And now to see that he has a family, somebody that loves him and really gives a damn about him, where he can just be at peace. That when all the fanfare is gone, I think that's wonderful, man. I am so happy for him because no matter who you are, what you do, everybody deserves to have some goodness in their life.
Let's go to Ivan. Who's your number 4 fighter?
Iron Mike. Remember, I switched up Deontay with Mike, but yeah, Iron Mike, man. Again, I mean, we've said enough. I mean, about the guy, you know, his record and the things he had to go through to get to where he be. But you know, when Cuss had him, Cuss was the only person that he loved that taught him about being a human being. Then after Cuss left, you know, they just used him, man. You know, from Don King, Keaton, all of them, they used him. And he didn't trust nobody, you know, he didn't, and that was, it took him to fall flat on his face to become a human being, because he was a monster and he thought he was invincible, you know, and but during those times, man, and it was sad to see him come back. I the fight against Buster Douglas, you know, he just, you know, that was about, you know, that was sad. But then the Lennox Lewis fight, because he should have never fought Lennox at that time, and that was hurting to me because he wasn't ready for that, but he needed the money. But I give him credit for what he had to go through, and he had an impressive record, and he knocked some people out on their ass. You know, I mean, his first couple of fights from when he turned pro on. You know, it was all knockouts. He finished the majority of them in the first round. You know, he was knocking them out in 1 or 2 rounds. You know, so number 4.
All right, you're number 4, Baron.
Tyson.
Tyson. Okay. All right.
I ain't want to jump in because I'm notorious for interrupting. The thing about Mike Tyson that I love the most is that he was a student of the game. That boy is a historian. When he said that, I'm Alexander, I'm from that cloth, that boy is a historian. He's well scripted and read, and he know boxing, he know the history, and I think that's another thing that kind of went, didn't surface, but it's coming out now. It's coming out now, though, and that's like those kind of things is like you never know what what God got in store for you or whatever. You can't, because that's where that man stopped. You don't know his journey. Like those things are significant to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and to see him now but he always has been a historian. He did his homework. He knew his stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of people didn't understand that aspect of him. Like he used he said them guys, they got primitive skills. Like, who used the word primitive? Like he was using, no, he was
Right.
dude was pretty sharp. He was pretty sharp. He was pretty sharp with that.
And if you know what, excuse me for interrupting, but if you ever watch him when he's trying to show somebody, even at this age, and you watch his footwork, he was the king of that footwork and doing that inside game when he switch up and
when he's switching and spinning and all that
angles, yeah.
Man, if he could teach somebody that stuff, these little short guys, man.
Ice.
Go with Rocky Marciano, man. I mean, you got to think about it from the standpoint. Not only was it the perfect record, I think we always look at that. We always looking for something where we can kind of connect with, right? So we hear the record, we go, oh, who did he fight? Or who was that dude? I ain't never seen him. I don't know who the hell he was. But then you think about it, he knocked out guys like Jersey Joe Walcott, knocked out Ezra Charles, right? And you just think about it from that standpoint. So if you know who those guys are, you start to learn a little bit more. You understand how tough it must have been, because for the longest time, people just thought he just walked in there and they just gave him a check and gave him the win, right? But when you fight quality dudes, and particularly, love or hate, whoever you want to, our modern day undefeated champion, to stay undefeated says a lot, man. And particularly when you mentioned about losing your life and whatnot in such a bizarre manner. But the record stands on its own. He fought some quality dudes, and now with that being said, you gotta give him his just due. He may not be your number one, but definitely got to be up there in that realm of upper echelon of fighting, because the stats and the record speak for itself.
Yeah, he was my number 4 too, so I can't repeat, and I wouldn't even try to touch what you just said. Said everything I wanted to say. Yeah, he was my number 4, 49-0, 43 knockouts.
Wait, we all had no.
I had Rocky Marciano.
Right, I got you.
And I think you two had Tyson, right?
We had Tyson. Yeah. My bad.
All right. So I'm gonna go to number 3. Number 3. This was hard because I kept switching the top 3 that I had, but I had to eventually go with Joe Louis, the Brown Bomber from Detroit, Michigan, and beating Max Baer, beating Max Schmeling, Billy Kahn, really kind of just put a nation, put Black America on his back, and represented us well as in his era. Just being out there, just trying to represent, not trying to be braggadocious or anything. Maybe he took a lesson from Jack Johnson and saying, no, I'm not going to antagonize folks. I'm just going to quietly do my thing. And the amazing thing about Joe Louis to me is that a lot of people think that, of course he had upper body strength, but when you watch him knock out guys, it's all legs. It's all legs. Mm-hmm. Just throwing that, that waist into somebody, and folks just falling like a sack of potatoes. So Joe Louis, 66 wins, 52 by knockout, 3 losses. The Brown Bomber is my number 3. Darren?
I'm glad I was next, and I ain't want to jump in on nobody. But I picked Joe Louis, and you said it. You said maybe he learned from Jack Johnson. I think because of Joe Louis is what made what Muhammad Ali did significant. Because you remember he went to the army. He wasn't roughing no feathers. He actually was one of the ones that went to Muhammad Ali and said, "Look, man, you're gonna be in, just go there and Muhammad Ali, you're gonna get your little, Muhammad Ali kind of, even though respected him, looked like, nah, bro, that I'm not doing. I think the social ramifications and the time that he was in, that's where black people were. They were subservient. They was following, and they loved him. Like my dad always talked about how they used to listen to him on the radio, and they loved him. And they didn't see him fight. It was all radio stuff, you know what I'm saying? But he kind of was the docile, I think that the thing with during the World War with him and Max Schmeling and all that, and, he was a media darling. And I think that just paved the way. All that paved the way for Ali to be who and how he was. That made it so significant.
Yeah, 12 years. Champion for 12 years, 37 to 49. Ice, number 3.
Number 3, huh? Number 3 is Jack Johnson. And for so many different reasons, I kind of went back and forth. But you got to think about Jack Johnson became the heavyweight champion of the world in 1908, bro. Dude, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Can you imagine what was going on in the world? And he get up in there, he win. Then at that point, they said he had some very peculiar tastes in women, and he had no problem flaunting it. And he was catching them too. He had money, he was driving the vehicles and getting arrested and all kind of stuff, and just doing what the hell he wanted, man. He was breaking all barriers on all levels. And that really made people mad as hell. So he was doing it, bro. He was like, I don't care, y'all, whatever. While I got it, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do me. And that's what he did in 1908. I mean, we know what's happened. People swinging from trees and all kinds of shit. I'm surprised that they really never got him. But 1908, bro, and he was bringing it, bro. He was like, I mean, you know what? I'm not gonna be here long. As far as the title, because you're gonna snatch it. But while I'm here and I got what I got, I'm gonna do me. And that's what he did. He set the tone for a lot of things. So Jack Johnson, 1908, bro.
Ivan.
Yeah. Go ahead.
My 3 was Larry Holmes. And I could have put him back a couple of spots, but I'd still think he had an impressive record. I went more so on his record. He stood out as the king of the heavyweights for a while because we didn't have anybody in that era that was that impressive, I thought, so, I mean, he was 75-6 and, he had 49 KOs, 69 wins out of the 75, so I gave it to him more so because of the era that he was in, following behind the footsteps of Ali and all that. So I gave him number 3, but I could have traded with him somewhere else, but he was my number 3, so I'm not going to renege on too many of them. I did one already. So.
Man, your last 7 was switching, bro. Come on, man.
No, I had one, bro. All right, now I told you.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. I'm talking because I'm a few states away, so I can talk smack. You know how we do when I come down there, man. You know what I mean? It's all right. Let's go eat. Let's go chop it up. You feel me?
I'm gonna go with my number 2. Is Jack Johnson. Yeah, 54 wins, 35 by knockout, 11 losses, 9 draws. The Galveston Giant. There was a story. One of my favorite stories about Jack Johnson is that he was speeding. He bought this car, and he was speeding down the highway, and the police officer stopped him. And I forget the dollar amount. I think it's about maybe 50. The fine was $50. So Jack Johnson gave him 100. And he said, "Why you give me 100? You gave me, double the price." He said, "Well, I'm going to be coming back this way.
Coming back, right?
I'm coming down the same speed I came last time. So let's save some time." So, but Ali said about Jack Johnson one time, he said, "Y'all think I'm crazy. Jack Johnson was crazy.
Right.
Doing all this kind of stuff." And like I said, in 1908, doing all the stuff. Well, yeah. God, he didn't give, you know what. Baron, you're number 2.
Ali. Just, all the social ramifications. I think he came at a time. I remember being young, with the Muslim thing, and changing his name. And like I was raised in the middle class, mom was a nurse, father was a police officer. So my brother, I had an older brother that went to the Nation of Islam, and my dad was not with that. He was not with that Muslim. He used to call it Muslim. He a Muslim now. Like, so I remember like they just had disdain for Muhammad Ali. Even his own dad, didn't like the fact that so like all those things in place, man. Forget the boxing, man. The boxing was because I remember my dad taking her. They used to have the fights at the movie in Newark at the Branford, and you come and you pay $5 to get in and to be on the big screen, So my dad used to always, take us to the fights, man. And I remember my dad, one of the last fights we went to was when Joe Frazier fought Muhammad Ali, and people still, really wasn't. By the time he fought Joe Frazier, his name was kind of out of the. It wasn't like when he first, like in the early, in the 60s, early 60s, because when he fought Frazier, 76, what was the date?
71. 71.
Yeah, 71. So like early on when he making them changes in the in the early mid 60s with Malcolm X and all them kind of things going on, all that stuff, man. I just think like, but again, like somebody said, like, but they had predecessors. He had a predecessor. Or you think I'm crazy? You see Jack Johnson, he had a predecessor. They had people that he could have looked at. Joe Louis, all them guys he fought. Floyd Patterson. They was old men by the time, and Jersey Joe Walcott. So he had some predecessors before him. But he definitely took that thing and ran and took it somewhere else.
All right, Ice.
Number 2, man, I was back and forth on this thing because my heart said one thing, my mind said another. But number 2 for me is Joe Louis. Joe Louis was, all that was going on, people look at him a little different, but he did what he had to do, and he was a consummate like gentleman. He represented not only people of color, but when you see a man, I equate this a lot of times to what was going on with the war and the way that he was able to win a fight, and the other folks that were not, other folks that were not of color had to jump on the bandwagon because he represented, truthfully, was a hero to America by winning a fight, right? It was amazing what he did. And then from the standpoint of just coming up and stepping up, doing what he had to do. Think about it from a boxing standpoint, probably one of the best boxer punchers that you'll see back in the day. And think about it as well, too. He only lost 3 times, and this dude was the champion for 12 years, bro.
Mm-hmm.
12 years. That's
well, he came up with his own club too, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, longevity and just the way he was. He did what he did, and people look at him in different ways. And sometimes certain guys like that, I don't think they get the respect they deserve. Because when money failed, you got hard times. I look at the things, similar like Jesse Owens. When Jesse Owens did what he did in Germany, bro, in the Olympics, and he came back to America, them people ain't supposed to work no more, man. You just throw them up in an office and let them sign autographs and whatever you need to do to make a personal appearance. There's enough money in this country, even back then. Guys like that, they make such a statement in the world. If they're having troubles or whatever, you float them whatever they need. They are not supposed to work because they're icons and what they're represented in history. That just don't make no damn sense to me. And for see a guy like that and then a guy like Jesse Owens having to come back and literally go to an office.
Yep.
Are you kidding me? What you mean? I that Jesse Owens thing is just too close to my heart because when you go to a place, look a man in his eye, and destroy his super race, and Joe Louis coming back around with this supposed to be this figure that was supposed to be more dominant, and he was the true essence of whatever the hell they want to call him, an American, and he took it down and handled it, bro, and still never got to just do that he deserved, but love to do the way he handled his business, and he represented us early, and he kicked ass in the ring. 12 years is 12 years, bro.
Yeah. Ivan?
I'm flowing just with what I said. Joe Louis, was not my number two. I mean, his impressive record, not only his tenure as champion, and then ring, and then like you all said the most of it where he was a representation for Black people and then for the United States because of everything that was going on with the World War and all of that, man. So Joe Louis was my pick. I really think that he definitely would be my number, is what I chose. I feel confident in putting him at number two on my list.
I'm going to stay with you, Ivan, with your number one pick. Top 10, the top guy at the heavyweight division.
Yeah, my number one, Muhammad Ali. Ali, the greatest. And, Ali was, again, as Baron had said earlier, that he followed the footsteps of so many others, but more so Joe Louis kind of set the standards for him. And he just came out and was bold with everything he did and backed it up. Even with the thing with the conscientious objector, and they took him out of the flow for a minute, probably some of his best years. He came back and did his thing. Probably stayed a little bit too long in the fight game, but when they do things like that and they rob from you, you got to feed your family. So, but Ali was my number one as on my top 10 list, the greatest of all time.
All right. I'm going to go and then I'm going to give it over to Barrett next. But I got to go with Muhammad Ali. I was fighting with this with the three, Jack Johnson, Joe Louis, and Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali just transcended sports. I remember the day of his funeral, they showed it on TV. It had to be like 6 or 7 hours. And I sat all 6 or 7 hours to watch it. I've never done that to anybody, not even my family. But Ali, you felt like you knew him.
I know when he had that torch in his hand at the Olympics, your ass wasn't hiding under the table. He was.
I was a little concerned.
God, he was. I like.
Yeah. Olympic Village is just bloom up in flames. I was a little concerned. But after what this country did to him, and then him to come back from that and them giving them that honor, and people really kind of going back and seeing how great he was, the documentaries, all these things that he done. He transcended sports. And I often look at him as the standard setter for Black athletes. And if you're not up there, then, you're nowhere. If you're not fighting for your people and doing things for your people, just sit down. So 56 wins, 37 by knockout. They said Ali didn't have power. Yeah, he did. 37 knockouts, 5 losses to Louisville Lip. And we crowned him, and he crowned himself as the greatest. And held the title, beating Sonny Liston twice, Frazier twice, coming back and be a 3-time champion with Leon Spinks. I cried the night Leon Spinks beat him. And then when he got back and got the title, I was happy. Beat the guy that nobody thought he could beat, George Foreman. And I challenge you to watch the fight with Cleveland Williams, who was a tough guy at the time. Cleveland Williams, I don't think, put a glove on that fight. Didn't put a glove on him in that fight. It was mastery watching that fight. So I was fighting with him and Jack Johnson, and I'm like, you know what? I took a page from Barron saying social consciousness, what was happening during that particular time. And he's the guy that started making a lot of money that paved the way for guys making money now. And the showmanship and selling a fight. That's Ali did that. Ali did that. These guys can't do it as well as he did it. But for me, he'll always be the greatest heavyweight of all time. Ice?
Yeah, we're gonna stop right there. I mean, we already know. I mean, for me, it's Ali, bro. I mean, what he, as you said earlier, transcending, making things happen. But for so many, he made moves in so many different ways. In the boxing ring, okay, he changed what he had to do, adjusted to fight Foreman, right? He won that fight, won so many different fights, came back from a lot of stuff. But you got to realize we probably missed uh, his prime because he had to sit out 5 years, bro. We missed 5 great years of his prime because of the whole war thing and whatnot. And he still came back and was still amazing. So that goes a long way too. Plus, too, he made other people just better, man. Think about it. The career he made for Howard Cosell, bro. Once Howard Cosell broke down the barriers of what he thought and really understood who the hell this man was and started to really support him and understand him, then he understood that, yeah, this is what I need to do. But also, had people see Howard Cosell in a different light because what he was going through. And Ali, he was like, champ, you coming back off of this, and he said, you don't look like you're the same guy. And he said, yeah, I was talking to your wife, and she told me you're not the man you used to be.
he said you ain't the same fighter you was 10 years ago. And he said, I talked to your wife, and she said you ain't the same man 10 years ago.
Dude. I mean, stuff like that. I mean, he was a jokester, man. That's classic. That's classic. But I think the one thing too that I think, and I told the Puma this story a couple times. I said, look, one thing you'll understand when I found this out, because they always show this around Black History Month, the picture with Jim Brown and all the group of men around him supporting him in his quest not to go to war. And everybody's looking like, oh, look at those guys. They really were supporting him on that. I said, but you got to understand the story behind it is the factor that initially when those gentlemen came, they were not coming to support Ali. They were coming to change his mind. They were invited by the promoter, Bob Arum, because Bob Arum was promoting him at the time. And Bob
talking about with Jim Brown?
Right.
With Jim Brown and
it's
all
a famous picture. And Bob Arum invited them to come to talk to Ali to go tell him to not boycott the war. And because they said, it's going to mess up the business, it's going to mess up the money, you're going to be suspended, all this other stuff. But the way it's portrayed is if they really came to support their brother. But what they found out, in fact, what Bob Arum had offered Jim Brown and the other guys, Baron, you said you went to the movies to watch the boxing match, right? He had said to Jim Brown, he was going to give Jim Brown and some others to help convince him a piece of the pay-per-view, like you wanted to go see it, like I'm gonna give you Cleveland, I'm gonna give you whatever, and you're gonna get a cut of Ali's fights because you convinced him not to go to war. And they said that. And then they said, asking me, Ali said, look, let me just talk to y'all for a few minutes. I think they gave him a half an hour. And he told them, this is what I believe in. This is what us, like my man said, they talk about certain things. He said, you want me to go against the Viet Cong? He said, you my poser. You my poser. Just the standpoint of what he believed, and he never backed down. And not only that, he stuck to his guns. And even afterwards, he became a symbol of just being a real man, of sticking to what he believed in and having the ability to balance out and change a little bit and just stuck with it, man. And even afterwards, he was never mad. He did what he had to do, was one of the greatest champions of all time. And just that alone, it was just amazing. Like I said to me, and I told you earlier off set, when I got a chance to see him in person with all of the issues with his, with his disease and whatnot, it was such a figure that made people stop, man. They got emotional. Even the man didn't say a word. We're in the room, people just losing their damn minds. Because his presence was like, oh my.
Hey, the funny thing about that is that he came to Newark, and like I said, my dad was a cop, so I was able to be behind the podium where he was talking. And that dude was big as that dude was
Yeah,
thick. That dude, hey, he was brolic like I'm like, yo. He wasn't like no, he was muscular, like damn, it was like he had, and it was in the summertime, he had a t-shirt on. Yeah, tight. I'm like, oh, this dude is always remember that. Like this dude is big. He was muscular. He had a beautiful body, man. Beautiful body, man. Beautiful body.
Yeah. Dude, man. Just what he represented, man. He talking always stuff, and but I love Bodine. He was like, just that back and forth. They be going back and forth. I mean, scaring folks to death. They're like, I don't give a damn. We just talking. We doing what we got to do. Yeah. He set the tone with style, flair. Running his mouth. You think even to the point of that old wrestling thing. Cats like Ric Flair. He said, "Man, I watch Ali." And that's when I start getting my swagger, my flavor on. That's how much he transcended with his style. Amazing dude. Number one in my book, always.
I don't know if you guys saw it. It was a documentary, I think, when we were kings. And at the end of it, I guess it's a reporter who said he was a little older than his wife. And Ali came to see him. He's a lot older than his wife.
A lot older.
Yes. And he said, hey man, Ali was saying, hey man, you're looking great. I wish I look as good as you look when, I'm your age, all this other stuff. And the guy said he was drinking a little bit, so he had to go to the bathroom. He said when he went to the bathroom, Ali leaned over to his wife, was like, "You still with that old man?" And so, you were never safe with that dude.
But the last person was Jack Johnson. And that's because he didn't have a predecessor. He what he did was what he was doing. He wasn't trying to sugarcoat it. There was Muhammad Ali, even with his religion, he had a lot of contradictions in it. I'm not taking nothing away from the social ramifications, because that was a big area for me. But like with his wife, his kids, the women, the way, like his religion, like all that, there's a lot of contradictions. I remember watching
The Godfather of Harlem. Yeah.
And he was telling them all his contradictions in his life. You're like, what you mean contradictions? He's like, yeah, you're a religious, you religious man, but you sell drugs too. You give people a lot of money, but you also kill a lot of people. You say you're a good grandfather, but you're not even claiming, your daughter. Like he just kind of pointed out a lot of contradictions. And it's just, just with the forum that Muhammad Ali had. And I was so surprised. And it's like his stuff just never, they loved him, man. Like even through the women's stuff. Remember when his wife went over there to Zaire and he was with the new girl, and man, it was just a lot of that kind of stuff, going on. But that had nothing to do with the boxing. But it's still, as young guys seeing that myself, like I thought it was okay. So there was some, there's no, I think like everybody was talking about the struggle of trying to who number one, who number two. I didn't order them. They're all significant in some kind of way, whether it was the boxing, social, or whatever, and what kind of impact me knowing about them had on my life. So that was my 10. Appreciate that.
Okay. All right. Those are our top 10. Get in the comments. Who are your top 10? Dispute us. Maybe you'll find yourself on this show debating. Maybe we'll have a pay-per-view with Ivan and Baron putting on the gloves next time.
I'm too pretty to be fighting. I'm gonna take too pretty to be fighting. I'm too pretty. Plus, I got some parches in my mouth. Hey, you're not gonna see something.